Just my landing of it.
Yeah, it's like a nice balance.
Hey everyone! So, you are with me at gymnastics today. Anyways, I thought I would go through a typical day, or I should say session, that I have normally. I tend to do this 3 to 4 times a week, and I also do regular classes as well. So I will first go through my stretch, which I normally do, and then I will show you some of what I do in terms of skills and how I prepare them. I also tend to work on new skills, so I may show you a progression or two. I tend to wear wrist guards. They protect my wrists when I am working with high impact, and I am known for having quite a bit of power. I wasn't known to have power as a gymnast, by the way. It's actually been a fascinating journey to watch, as I had to literally reinvent myself. As a gymnast, I was actually flexible. And flexibility, when you start to build muscle, it tends to counteract each other. You basically lose it. And I need to somehow maintain flexibility in order to do the skills that I need to do for my routine, because we have mandatories. So, using the flexibility that I had in the past, which I managed to keep a little of, and as well as the weight training gave me power. And that actually made me into a whole different person. I had to start again when it came to gymnastics. In my head, I thought, yeah, I am as limber as I was, able to do all the skills that I could do, but literally that wasn't the case. And I remember, I'll tell you a little story. Don't worry, it's not gonna take too long. But I just remember when I decided to do the fitness category, and I was like, right, I need to go back, I need to, work on my skills. And I was like, yeah, let me just do a forward walkover. And I was teaching a class at this time. And they were like, yeah, show us, you can do it. I landed flat on my back in front of 7 to 8 year olds. And when they're trying not to laugh, but yeah, it didn't work. Even I had to laugh myself, because I was like, this is ridiculous. So I had to come up with ways to, to get over that. So I thought to myself, instead of being frustrated, I'm just gonna start again. And I literally went from being the least powerfulest, but most graceful apparently, flexible gymnast, to high jumps. And then once I realized I can jump high, I thought, oh, this is so cool. I'm gonna run with that. So this is what you now see on stage. So every day I stretch, literally. If I don't stretch, I feel strange. And the one thing I do pay particular attention to is my shoulders. I realize shoulders is needed for pretty much everything. And it's the part that gets stiff very easily as well, and can also get injured very easily too. So I spend quite a bit of time stretching them. And as for my stretching routine, it depends on how I feel on the day. So it can go from 10 minutes to an hour. So if I'm that stiff, or depending on what I've trained, I will stretch until I feel limber, and that's just it. So when I do compete, I tend to go by how I feel. So if I need an extra stretch in my room, if I've traveled internationally, which I always do now, then I will stretch before, or I will just utilize the hour that we get. So yeah, I just go on feelings. I go on feelings with everything I do, because I feel like we wake up feeling different and we need to work with that. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do life. What I'm vibing today is, I tend to do that too. Let's warm up with jumps. So I tend to do an active stretch, I don't do this too long. To be fair, I don't really like to waste too much energy unless I absolutely need to. So, but I do need to be stretched out. So these are mandatories. I think I've said this several times, but you have to do a side kick to the side. You also have to do a side split. So you can do some moves, which I just did. You can cover both. I like multitasking. So I tend to do a few sets of jumps. I like to do, depends, roughly 3 sets of 10 of jumps. And then I like to start mixing combos together as well. So that's when somersaults will come in. Another mandatory is our push-ups as well. So I'm going to try and join the two together. It also builds up my endurance, so it's not necessarily my routine. It just puts goes together, so I'm able to string things together for a long period of time and not get out of breath, and that's just it really. I don't know how else to explain it. So that's jumps, pretty much done. Oh, I'm tired, but we got more to do. No, it wasn't actually too bad. I tell a lie. But yeah, pretty much that's what I do for every skill. And it also makes it fun because I'm not following any set thing. I just, as I said, vibe off my feelings. Anyways, you're probably thinking about things to do with like soreness. I thought I'd cover that topic while I'm here and catching my breath. And to stop myself from being sore and able to do what I need to do in the gym as well, because I have to be able to perform. I can't just get sore off this and think, oh, I'm just gonna forget about weights. No, it's not gonna fly with the category. So I tend to do a few methods. I'm very, very strict with going for massages, like sports massages. So let's not get it wrong here. We're not having candles and stuff lit. It can be quite painful, but it does help. It helps get out any fluid retention that you have, because that tends to cause soreness, inflammation as well, and any like knots, anything that could have happened while you're sleeping, because sleep is very important as well. So that's another topic. I make sure I get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a day. That's just it. To you. I had to literally change the way my life was. I went from getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep to I need to sleep in order to do well in this. And at the moment, as a pro, I need to act like a pro, so I need to sleep like a pro. And I realized that sleeping enough actually gets rid of soreness, believe it or not. So I can do all these massages. I do go for cryotherapy as well. That's another method. I do cryotherapy, especially when I get off the plane. So in my peak week, if I am flying for a very long time, which is pretty much every flight, I will then book in a cryotherapy from abroad and make sure that is ready for when I land. I also tell them it might need to be flexible because sometimes things go wrong, and most of the time they do. So I'm like, you know, can I provisionally book you, you know, and obviously, can I get a session in at your facility? So that literally has stopped me from holding a lot of water after a flight because, you know, the blood vessels get restricted back into place, and I then feel rejuvenated and ready to tackle, you know, the day or the next day, depending on when I fly. So cryotherapy, if you didn't know, is a treatment of hot and cold. Sometimes it could just be cold therapy. Sometimes you can go from a cold room to a hot room as well, depending on what you're trying to treat. So yeah, so that, you have the massage, sleep. And then the last thing, I should say, the thing that I do the most is stretching. I not only stretch manually, when I say manually, it's me, you know, stretching myself. I also use things like foam rollers. I have many different types with different spikes. I'm not saying you have to go and buy all these things. But I noticed the ones that are more rougher with the, I should say the squares, groovy, they seem to get really into the muscle fibers. And I noticed that if I do this straight after a session, I'm kind of like pre-getting rid of my soreness that I know I'm probably going to get. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So I tend to do all these things, and I realize I actually don't get sore that often anymore. And I know a lot of people go off how much muscle they're building by soreness. You don't need to get sore every session to build muscle, and I know that for a fact. So if you have good, you know, methods to stop you from getting sore, or you're just, you know, got used to a routine that you've gotten into, your body will not necessarily get sore, but you are still making improvements. That I do know. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. And then I'm able to get on with all these things and be my absolutely crazy self. Right, so after I pick a topic of the day, which is jumps, then I decide to work on new skills. So, you know, always have to keep progressing. If I don't progress, I get bored. I've always been like this. Okay. I finished. But yeah, pretty much I do this 3 to 4 times a week. And yeah, it was fun. You know what? I absolutely enjoy what I do. I cannot say that enough. And it's always nice to just switch things about. And you just don't know what you're going to discover about yourself. I mean, it might not work, but it could work. So I always feel like if it does work, it's a bonus, right? And if it don't work, I still have wherever I have, you know, the skills I have. So that's pretty much how I see it. And when it comes to doing cardio, I am not a big fan of conventional cardio. I tend to do my cardio, and particularly for the last prep I just did for the Vancouver show, all my cardio was done via gymnastics. And it wasn't just gymnastics for my routine. I decided to join tricking class. I did Cali. I also did strengthening class. You name it, I did it. And I noticed my body looked different as well, in a good way. You know, sometimes, you know, you want to look good. So at the end of the day, and fit what you're doing. And I felt good. My endurance went up as well. I wasn't thinking about how I'm training my endurance and like thinking, oh no, you know, the sprint is not working. I literally just enjoyed what I like to do. And I learned new things as well. So it actually made the prep easier. So I would say that if you want to switch things around, do. And if you have a coach in particular and, you know, they've given you a certain plan, if you don't open their eyes to the possibilities that you can do, you might not be able to do the things that you want to do. So you might be, you know, stuck with doing the treadmill, for example, and you might not like doing the treadmill. So I always say, if you have a coach, talk to them. You know, say to them, look, I can do this. And I'm pretty sure they'll be open to you doing that. Me as a coach, I certainly am. And especially me as a person who gets, you know, bored and I need to switch things up, I need to challenge myself. Or so I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. So, you know, think about ways you can make, you know, your fitness journey fun. You know, it does not have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be something that's so routine that you get bored of and you don't want to do anymore. And all you're thinking about is, when am I going to finish this session? The amount of times I hear, I cannot wait to get through this session. I'm going to rush through this session because I cannot wait to finish it. And I'm like, why are you doing it? You know? So think of ways that you can just have a fitness, you know, have a fitness body that you've always wanted, but make the gym work for you, is what I always say. And I do that every single day. So I literally do not do anything that I don't want to do. I think of ways to just do things that I want to do, but also it will definitely help towards what I am doing. So on that note, I best get stretching again because I do stretch twice.